Hello, I am Pramod Kumar. Today we will study macroeconomics, money and banking, right? And in that we will study functions of money and demand for money. So what are the functions for money? Let us first talk about money. Money is a commonly acceptable medium of exchange, right? It is an intermediate good acceptable to all the parties to the transaction. It is a convenient unit of account. Suppose I am having A, B, C things at my home. All those three things can be accounted for in terms of money, right? Value of all goods and services can be expressed in terms of money. Whatever goods and services are there, their value can be expressed in terms of money, right? It can act as a store of value for individuals. Suppose I need to store some value. Money is one of the good mediums to store that. Other than money also other mediums are there like land, building, gold, silver, several other things. But money also acts as a store of value for individuals. When the price level goes up, the purchasing power of money comes down. Suppose yesterday at X price I was able to buy 10 kg of rice with my income. If price level goes up from 10 to 12, with the same amount of income I will be able to buy less than 10 kg of rice with my income, right? So when the price level goes up, it erodes the purchasing power of money, right? Assets other than money also can act as a store of value for individuals, but they may not be easily convertible, right? Suppose bond, we are talking of bond, other than money, everything else we for some time we keep under the category of bond. So it may not be easily convertible with other commodities, right? And it may lack universal acceptability, but money has got a rare quality of being universally acceptable, right? As compared to money, there is a barter system of exchange where commodity is exchanged for commodity, not commodity is exchanged for money, no. So even now in some parts of the world, in very remote backward areas, barter system takes place. But there are some problems with barter system. For barter system, we need some improbable kind of double coincidence of wants. Suppose I grow wheat, only wheat. So I have got only wheat at my disposal. Some wheat I consume, others I try to sell for buying cloth for myself and my family. So in barter system, I will have to look for some rare person who will have cloth and will be needing wheat, right? I am having wheat, I need cloth. So I will have to search for a person who is having cloth and needs wheat. So it is called improbable double coincidence of wants. And what kind of wants? Diametrically opposite wants. I have wheat, I want cloth. The other person has to have cloth and person should be willing to have wheat. And in search for that kind of customer, I may have to take lot of time and lot of my money energy may be wasted in that. It may be prohibitive. The cost of searching that kind of person with that kind of diametrically opposite want may be prohibitive. The cost may be very high. And it's very difficult to carry forward one's wealth. Suppose I am there. I accumulated some wealth of 1 lakh rupees, right? Various things. So if there is no money, only commodities are there in barter system of exchange, it will be very difficult for me to pass on this wealth to next generation or whatever, because most of the things will be perishable. in nature. But if there is money, I can easily pass on to next, right? Now we go to functions of money. As we have already discussed, the main things about money we have discussed, right? Medium of exchange, convenient unit of account, right? Barter system deficiency we have discussed. Then we go to demand for money. Demand for money arises out of two major regions, right? What is that? One is the transaction motive, right? And the other is the speculative motive, right? So what is the transaction motive? I need to have money for carrying various transactions to fulfill the needs of my life, right? So what happens? Suppose there is an economy and there are only two entities. One is a firm which is owned by a proprietor and I am the worker, only one worker. And that firm produces only one commodity, I consume that commodity, nothing else. So that firm pays me, I am the worker. In the beginning of every month, that firm pays me 100 rupees salary, right? On the first day of the month, every month. I get 100 rupees. During the course of that month, from 1st to 30th or from 1st to 31st, I spend that money, say, uniformly over the period of those 30-31 days. So at the beginning of the month, I am having 100 rupees, firm is having 0, right? Firm has given me, I have got. So firm is having 0, I am having 100. At the end of the month, the situation is reversed. I have spent all the money on the goods produced by this firm. So I have 0, the firm is having 100. Once again, 100 rupees are there in the system. So what happens? At the beginning of the month, I as a worker have 100. At the end of the month, I am having 0. So average cash I need to hold is 50, right? At the beginning of the month, I as a worker have 100. At the end of the month, I have 0. So average comes to 50. So I need to carry an average cash of 50 rupees during the month for carrying transactions of how much? 100 rupees, right? So the demand for transaction of money is 50% of the volume of transactions, value of transactions that I carry during the month, right? So the transaction demand for money is only 50 rupees, whereas my transactions during the month are 100 rupees, right? So transaction demand for money is half of my monthly value of transactions that I carry, right? So now the firm also needs to have 50 rupees on an average. Beginning they had 0, end they had 100. So during the month, average they want to have 50. So 50 they need to have, 50 I need to have 100 rupees. But we are carrying transactions of 200 rupees. 100 I have spent, 100 that firm has paid to me, 200 rupees, right? But average cash requirement is only 100, both combined together against the total transaction value of 200 rupees, right? So transaction demand for money is less than the value of transactions carried in an economy over a unit period of time. Unit period of time is 1 month, 3 months, half a year or 1 year, whatever you take. It depends on you, right? So how do we know? How do we know transaction demand for money? We can say it is K into T. K is a positive fraction. Transaction demand for money, you can say like this, transaction demand for money is equal to K into T. So what is K into T? K is a positive fraction and T is the value of all the transactions carried out in the economy during that unit period of time, right? So next we go We have already seen 100 rupees firm, 100 rupees myself as a worker, 200 rupees transaction takes place, but cash requirement both combined together is 50-50, 100. Then how does it happen? Transaction is of 200 rupees. Transaction demand for money is only 100 rupees. So it happens due to the velocity of circulation of money, right? So here you will notice, once money goes from firm to worker, 100 rupees. Another, money comes from worker to the firm, 100 rupees. So this is 200 rupees. Transactions have been carried on for 200 rupees with 100 rupees. So how does it happen? It happens velocity of circulation of money. Money has changed hands twice. First from the firm to the worker. Second from the worker to the firm. So velocity of circulation of money is equal to 2. Right? So you will notice the difference. Transaction demand for money, we saw it was half. We have carried out transaction for 200 rupees, but transaction demand for money is on 100 rupees, so that is half. But velocity of circulation of money is 2, right? Money has changed. What is velocity of circulation of money? The number of times money changes hands during a unit period of time. Here it has changed twice, right? So now we go to velocity of circulation of money. Here it says this formula, transaction demand for money k into T. So it can also be said 1 upon k into transaction demand for money is equal to T, right? Or velocity of circulation of money into transaction demand for money is equal to T. Transaction demand for money we have multiplied with the velocity of circulation of money and we get total transaction. This is 100 rupees, velocity is 2, 100 into 2, 200, transaction 200, 100 by the firm, 100 by the worker, right? Then we move ahead. First we have seen transaction demand for money. Now we go to a speculative demand for money. That is very interesting, right? The speculative demand for a speculative motive, right? What is a speculative motive? Suppose today rate of interest in the market is 5% and we expect it to go up to 8%. So we are speculating on the rate of interest, right? The other way around, suppose the rate of interest is 8% in the market and we speculate that right now rates are high, they are expected to go down. So once again we are speculating on the rate of interest, that it is high, it is likely to go down. So as per the speculation of the players in the market, which are called economic agents, the speculative demand for money goes up or down, right? A speculative demand for money goes up or down. Now let us talk about bond. What is a bond? Bond is a paper issued by a firm or a government to raise money. Suppose I am a firm, I am a company, I need to raise money, 100 rupees from the market, and I issue a bond of 100 rupees for 2-year term at 10%, what is called coupon, 10% coupon rate, right? And the company says at the first year I will give you, at end of first year I will give you 10 rupees. And at the end of second year, I will give you 10 rupees plus 100 rupees of principal, right? the company wants to raise 100 rupees from the market and it floats a bond. The bond is face value 100 rupees, 2-year term, and coupon rate is 10%. So the company says, if you invest 100 rupees, I will pay you 10 rupees of interest at the end of first year, and at the second year I will pay you 10 rupees interest plus 100 rupees of principal. So what do I do? In my savings bank account, today I am getting 5% rate of interest. So I try to know how much I will invest in my savings bank account and I will get this much, right? If I, at the current rate of interest, if I need to invest for a return of this, how much do I need to invest? So when you do the formula, you come at 100. What do you want to know? You want to know present value of rupees 10, right? Suppose x, right, 1 plus 5 upon 100 is equal to 10. X 1.05 is equal to 10. So x is equal to 10 upon 1.05, right? It comes to 9.52. Same way, when you calculate for that second year end, 10 plus 100, it comes to 99.77, right? So I need to invest 109 rupees 29 paise for getting this return. 10 rupees at the end of first year, 10 plus 100 at the end of, I need to invest 109.29. Whereas this company is saying, if you invest 100 rupees, I will give you this. So bond appears to be a better option for me. So I go to buy the bond. So when more people buy bonds, the demand for bonds increases in the market and the price of the bond goes up. So when the price of the bond goes up, what happens? The rate of interest comes down, right? How does it happen? Suppose we have taken here 5%. If we take 6%, 1 plus 6 upon 100, right? X 1 plus 6 upon 100, right? So how much it comes to? It comes to 9.43. First year in 10 rupees, 9.43. And when you do that, y 1 plus 6 upon 100 a square, this one comes to how much? 97.9. So it comes to 107.33, right? So when the rate of interest was 5%, I needed to invest 109.29. When the rate of interest has gone up from 5 to 6%, I need to invest 107, lower amount. So what has happened? When the price of a bond goes up, its interest rate comes down. And what happens? What happens when the interest rate comes down? Once again, what we do, see, suppose right now interest rate is high in the market, right? So everybody expects that interest rate will come down. What happens when the interest rate comes down? When the interest rate comes down, the rate of price of bond goes up. So what happens? There is a capital gain, right? Whatever I had invested the amount, my investment has appreciated. So when my investment appreciates, what people do? People try to invest more in bonds. So there will be very less demand for the speculative. Demand for money will be low, right? Speculative demand for money will be low. Take the other position. Rate of interest in the market is low. People speculate that it will go up. So when the rate of interest goes up from 5 to 6, the price of this comes down, right? When the price of bond comes down, which I am holding, so I am losing capital, that is capital loss. So when I expect capital loss, I start getting out of my bond and converting it into money. So what happens? The speculative demand for money goes up, right? When the interest rate is high, speculative demand for money is low, and when the interest rate is low, speculative demand for money is high. So they move in opposite directions, right? What did we see earlier? Here, transaction demand for money, right? Transaction demand for money goes up if the economy goes up. Suppose gross domestic product has increased. It means production has increased, activity has increased. So transaction demand for money normally goes up, right? So they move in same direction. But with the speculative demand for money, the position is the other way round, right? So once again, suppose rate of interest is low in the market, so people anticipate, speculate that rate of interest will come down. So when the rate of interest they expect come down, so what happens when the rate of interest comes down, the price of bond goes up. What I had purchased in 100 rupees, it becomes of 105 rupees. So there is capital gain, right? So when there is capital gain in bond, people would like to convert their money into bond to take the advantage of capital gain, right? So when the rate of interest is high, the speculative demand for money is low, because people are converting their cash into bond, not the other way around. And when the rate of interest is low, people anticipate, speculate that it will go up. And when the rate of interest goes up, the value of bond comes down. It means if I had invested 100 rupees, it comes down to 99, 98, 97, 96 rupees. So there is capital loss. So what I try to do? I try to sell my bond, convert into money and keep it with me. So there is a speculative demand for money is high. So when the interest rate is high, a speculative demand for money is low. When the interest rate is low, a speculative demand for money is high. Here you can see a speculative demand for money. O is the horizontal is a speculative demand for money, and vertical is rate of interest in the market, right? At R min means R is rate of interest in the market. R max and R min are the upper and the lower levels of interest in the market, right? So at R max, a speculative demand for money is 0, right? When the rate of interest is very high, a speculative demand for money in the market is zero, right? And when rate of interest starts coming down from R max to R min, it starts moving like this, means a speculative demand for money keeps on increasing with the reduction in the rate, right? And here we will find when R max approaches R min, when R max approaches R min, the speculative demand for money moves from 0 to infinity, right? So the formula for a speculative demand for money is R max minus R upon R minus R min, right? Okay, a speculative demand for money formula is R max minus R upon R minus R min, right? As rate of interest moves from maximum to minimum, a speculative demand for money moves from 0 to infinity, right? So here there is an inverse relationship. Maximum, 0 demand, minimum, it moves towards infinity, right? So what happens? How do we get the total demand for money in the economy? Total demand for money in the economy is equal to, we have already discussed, what is that? Transaction demand for money plus a speculative demand for money. And what is this? K P Y plus R max minus R upon R minus R min, right? What is KPY? K is a positive fraction which we have discussed, and Y is real GDP, P is general price level or GDP deflator, right? So total demand for money in the economy is equal to transaction demand for money plus a speculative demand for money. Transaction demand for money is KPY. K is a positive fraction, Y is real GDP, P is general price level or GDP deflator, and plus a speculative demand for money formula is R max minus R upon R minus R min, means maximum rate minus rate minus minimum rate, right? So R max minus R, okay, and MD is equal to MDT, MDS, or MD is equal to demand for money in the economy is KPY plus R max minus R minus R min, right? This is the, so what did we study? We studied, what did we study? Money. Money is a medium of exchange. It is an intermediate good acceptable to all. It's a convenient unit of account. I can account whatever I have in terms of money, right? And value of all goods and services can be expressed in terms of money, and money can act as a store of value for individuals, right? When the price level goes up, the purchasing power of money goes down. As assets other than money can also act as a store of value for individuals, but they may not be easily convertible and universally acceptable, but money is easily convertible and universally acceptable. Barter exchange, we need to have improbable double coincidence of wants, right? Second thing, diametrically opposite demand we need to have in barter. Third thing, we need to search a lot of people, which may entail a lot of cost and may be prohibitive. And it's very difficult to carry forward one's wealth under barter system. I hope you found it easy to understand. In case of any difficulty, you may approach me in my email ID, which will be there at the thumbnail to the video, right? And I hope you have also understood bond. Bond is a piece of paper issued by a firm or government to raise money, right? If I am a company, I issue a bond for 100 rupees. So that bond will be called 100 rupees face value, 2-year term and 10% coupon rate, right? And the example that we have seen, when the rate of interest goes up, the value of bond goes down and people suffer capital loss. When the rate of interest goes down, value of bond goes up and people gain capital. Capital gain is there, right? When the rate of interest is high, speculative demand for money is low. When the rate of interest is low, speculative demand for money is high, right? And total demand for money in the economy is transaction demand for money plus speculative demand for money, right? And this is the formula, okay? Thank you very much. Thank you.